Good morning! The project we are working on today is turning your graphic tees into very cute Pinterest-worthy tops. Full disclaimer, I am a beginner. I am not a professional tailor by any means, so we will learn as we go. And even if you aren't going to do this project, I hope you enjoy the video anyways. The first design that we are working with here, I've sketched out. It's going to be a very simple baby doll waistline tank top. So now to show you what I secured from the thrift store. So that is what we're using for the lace detailing. The graphic tee of choice, we also will be using elastic thread, ribbon. You'll need some basic sewing materials, fabric, scissors, and then it's good to keep a needle and thread on hand for smaller details. Okay, well now we can begin on design 1. So I really wish I had my chalk with me, but I am missing it. But I am just cutting off the sleeve area, and then after I cut both sleeves off, going across the top as narrowly as I can, trying to preserve as much of the graphic as I can just under that collar. So then what we end up with is no sleeves, no collar, just the graphic, but it will still be held together on the sides. So here's what we're working with. So all we're gonna do is we're flipping it inside out. This is like a bad desk to be doing this on because I have stuff all over it. So after it's been flipped inside out and you have them lined up, so you're not going to be sewing up along this little curve, just sew straight down, do a nice wide stitch, and you're going to do this to both sides, just sew all the way down. So now try this on, put it on over your head like it's a tube top. It should have a little bit of air to it, and as long as it fits the way that you want it to fit, you can go ahead and snip off this excess, but try it on first. The next thing you're going to want to do is even out the top and like cut it across. And then I'm also going to take 3 or 4 inches off the bottom. So I'm going to cut both ends, and obviously so the stitches do not come undone, immediately I'm going to fold them over and hem them on both sides. Okay, now that you have this little tube top shape, you're going to flip it inside out and try it on once more. Once again, I do not know where my chalk is, so I'm going to be making markings using flour. They were not kidding when they said it was all-purpose. We're going to make simple markings right along the bottom of where we want our underbust to be. Now that you have your markings made, just go ahead and put that to the side. We're going to be grabbing a metal needle with a large eye because it's going to be threaded with elastic thread. Some of that fabric from earlier, preferably the stuff that you cut off the bottom of your top. You want 2 fabric strips. This is 2, it's just sewn together. You want 2 fabric strips that are about the width of your underbust. These strips are going to be sewed along all edges to create a tube. Then that tube is going to be sewn down to your shirt on the inside where you want the underbust line to be. Then we're going to take the elastic thread and we're going to enter that tube and carefully thread it through all the way. And then we're going to pull it tightly and fasten it off as tight as we want it to be, so that it creates that little ruched effect on the underbust. So I've gotten lace here that will be long enough to cover just the front of the top, but then another strip that's long enough to cover the entire circumference of the bottom. So we're flipping this inside out. You're just going to be hemming the lace down as you're sewing it across. I really love how the shirt is looking. I think it is so cute. However, it is getting late and I am getting sleepy. So I will do the bow details in the morning. So here is the completed product for design 1. We altered the original drawing a little bit, but it's really, really cute. And so now we will move on to our second design. So for design 2, we're doing, is this called like a mermaid top? I don't know, it reminds me of a mermaid, but it's like this split front open top. And you're gonna want a graphic tee, and you're also gonna want some sort of two-way stretch fabric. So I have this really cute striped top. And then for my graphic tee, I have this Jimi Hendrix shirt. The materials are very similar to last time. We just have the 2 shirts. I did buy some trim, and then we're gonna use ribbon again for a little bow. And then I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep the sleeves, so those are kind of just a question mark on the design right now. I'm just gonna go in here with my fabric scissors and start off by cutting out this little kind of tapered triangle shape. I'm happy with this opening, so I'm gonna now take my graphic tee and I'm just going to cut out the graphic so that I can slowly cut it into the shape it needs to be so that it'll fit into this triangular opening perfectly. And then we're going to flip this inside out, and we're going to simply attach the edges of the opening here to the edges of the graphic that we cut. Okay, so I've tried it on and I really love the fit, and I love how the cutout detail looks. At first I was undecided on whether or not I wanted to remove the sleeves. Now I'm positive I do want to remove the sleeves, so I'm going to do that. This feels awkward, so I'm going to ruch this a little bit more. And yeah, this pattern is super simple, so we're gonna move right into doing the trim, the ribbon, and then that'll be pretty much it. So second try on, it's definitely getting more to where I want it to be. I'm going for a sweetheart neckline though, so I'm going to actually just right here, just ruch these sleeves together on both sides so that it kind of creates that more squarish neck. And I have this cute red trim that I'm going to attach to the neckline, the front of the neckline. Okay, the final thing that I'm going to be doing to this is chopping like 2 inches off the bottom, and I decided that I will be running the trim around the bottom hem of the shirt. I'm not going to show that part because this video is already so long, but I will meet you when it is all done, and then we'll move on to design number 3. Now, I'm just gonna saw off the sleeves, but I honestly feel like I'm gonna end up using them again because they're so big, I could turn them into puff sleeves. Okay, and then because this is such a big shirt, we're gonna shave several inches across the left and the right. Not before chopping off the bottom. Okay, and then we're chopping this way. Except I'm gonna do a little waist. I'm going in on the waist. I'm gonna flip this inside out, and I'm gonna sew it along the edges, but it's still pretty thick, so I am seriously gonna sew like as far in as I can get away with without it being awkward. We have pretty much just chopped it down to bare bones. I hemmed the sleeves, the bottom, the neckline, and what I'm gonna do now is just cut a small strip of lace to go behind that neckline. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to fetch that ribbon again, and then we're gonna do a little bow in the center because I think that will be cute. Honestly, this design might be taking the least amount of time. It's quite simple so far. Good morning. I have changed my mind, and we are going to be adding puff sleeves. I'm only going to do this once, so watch closely. Puff sleeves basically are just ruffled on the top and bottom. So I grabbed the old sleeve that we cut off, and what I just did was I just ruffled that top part, inside out, of course. And now we can kind of hold it up to the new sleeve opening and see if it fits. And it pretty much does, and I don't really want to risk it by making this any smaller. I want them to line up, so I'm gonna leave it like this. And then I'll ruffle the other sleeve the same. There are plenty of ruffling tutorials online, but you kind of just bunch it up and then sew right over that. Just for reference, the length of my sleeve opening is about 16 centimeters across. So obviously I want my sleeve to match that length. It turned out adorable regardless, but I would recommend attaching lace before you put the elastic through. The method for attaching sleeves really is not hard, but I managed to screw it up every single time. So let's see if I can do this one correctly. The shirt is inside out. Your sleeve is right side out. You kind of invert it and then attach it on this way. So it's like inverted. Once again, the shirt is inside out, the sleeve is right side. Or at least I hope so. Now we just need to repeat that to the other side and then the shirt will legitimately be done. So, yay! If you stuck around to the end of the video, thank you so much. Hopefully you followed along, and if you did, I would love to see your creations, and thank you again for sticking around. Have a wonderful day.